everybody, Lord Tremendous here. Got another battle report here for you. 2,000 point battle, Wars of Chaos versus Bretonnians. This is actually exciting. This is of course my buddy Rathgar, and we played quite a bit against each other, but this is exciting. This is going to be a really good game because it's a close combat heavy army versus a close combat heavy army. And these are always great slugfests, so sit back, relax, and get ready to see the carnage. Here's my list, and I have tweaked it a little bit since my last game, just trying out different things until I get my perfect list set up. I have 976 points of characters, starting off with a Chaos Lord. He's 345 points, he's my general, he's got the Mark of Nurgle, he's on a demonic mount with a flail, he does have a shield as well, but that's just for shooting. And then I gave him the demonic plate mail, Talisman of Carrion Crow, and Favor of the Gods. And I went with this because I wanted a more close combat oriented character, one with 360 charge, basically the poor man's version of the Bretonnian Lord. I'm trying the flail with poison attacks and stuff like that just to see if a more defensive kit. He's toughness 6, weapon skill 7, initiative 7, and a 3 by save, a 3 up, 5 up, 5 up, I believe. And then he would have a 4 up, 5 up, 5 up in close combat. It seems like a good idea. We'll see how it goes. Then I've got my Sorcerer Lord, of course, Lord Tremendous, and he's still in a chariot, level 4 Wizard of Demonology. He's got the Mark of Chaos Undivided this time, and then he's got the Spell Familiar, Tome of the Dark Gods, Favor of the Gods, Ruby Ring of Ruin, and a Biting Blade, because he's going to see combat, so when he wounds, it should stick. And then I've got a Baby Sorcerer, an Exalted Sorcerer for 196 points. He's on a Chaos Steed, Mark Zinch, level 2 Wizard with Battle Magic, and the Infernal Puppet. And yeah, it's just a carrier for the Infernal Puppet. I'm going to hide him, take shots of opportunity with Blue Flame and whatever other spell he rolls, and honestly, he's just there to disrupt my opponent's magic phase. My core is mainly to save at 528 points, 5 Chaos Warhounds, 6 Chaos Knights with full command lances, Icon of Darkness, the Brazen Collar, and the Mark of Corn, because I like the extra attacks and not having to roll leadership. I know they're easily led around, but you know what? That's fine. 6 more Chaos Knights, full command lances, Rampaging Banner, because when I charge, I should make it, Brazen Collar, and the Mark of Corn. And then in special, I have my Dragon Ogre at 92 points. He's a Shartak. He's got a great weapon. He's got the Blackened Plate because I like a 2-up armor save on as many things as I can put it on. And another Dragon Ogre who's also a Shartak with a great weapon and heavy armor because I can't take Blackened Plate twice. And in rare, I've got 2 gigantic Spawns of Chaos, both marked Corn. I might toy around with the other marks just to see if they're any better, if I like them better, because Killing Blow and Impact Hits is just too good on a spawn. I know the 5-up regen would be good too. I'll have to see. I'll have to see. Counter Charge sounds really good. Decisions. Here's my opponent's list, and my opponent is Rathgar, once again, my usual opponent, but he's playing Bretonnians this time because it's just cool to play again. Look how noble he is. He's got 922 points in character, starting with his Duke at 402, who's his general on a Royal Pegasus, Heavy Armor Shield, Ogre Blade, Serene's Locket, the Gauntlet of the Duel, and a Virtue of Knightly Temper. His Baron is on a Bretonnian Warhorse, who's got Heavy Armor, Lance Shield, a Gilded Cuirass? I don't know how to say it. And a Virtue of Heroism. And then he's got a Prophetess who's on a Warhorse, level 4 Wizard with Battle Magic, Lore Familiar, and then, of course, the real threat, his Sergeant at Arms, who I've named Chaos Killer, at 67 points, and the Lunatic has a Halberd and the Armor of Meteoric Iron. That's it. Score consists of 560 points. He's got 10 Mounted Knights at a Realm with Lances, Shields, Heavy Armor, and a full command. They also have a War Banner. He's got 30 Men-at-Arms at 144 points with Polearm, Shield, Light Armor, full command, and there's a Grail Monk in there just to make him right with God. And then he's got 2 units of Peasant Bowmen, 10 by, with Longbows, Musicians, and Defensive Stakes. For his special, he's got 326 points of 5 by Pegasus Knights with Lances, Shields, Heavy Armor, full command, and the Errantry Banner. And then in rare, he's got 5 Grail Knights with Lances, Shields, and Heavy Armor. Here are the spells I got for this one. My level 2 rolled like a 2 and a 5 or something like that. So we got Oaken Shield and whatever the other one is that's completely useless for Warriors of Chaos. So I dropped one. So really all he has is Blue Flame. I guess he's got Oaken Shield, but spoilers, I never even tried to cast it. My level 4 got Blue Flame, the Summoning, Fleshy Abundance, Demonic Vigor, and Demonic Familiars. And my opponent's level 4 got Hammer Hand, Pillar of Flame, Fireball, and the Lady's Wrath. And here's deployment. On the left flank there, I've got my Chaos Lord. I was going to put him behind the impassable terrain there to block line of sight and try to get a decent charge off on the Pegasus Knights. I know they were going to attack first and all that crazy stuff, and they were probably going to run around, but I figured if I could get my Chaos Lord into that combat, maybe I could do some damage before he could. It's still a crapshoot. I'm not sure how he's going to do, but I know I got to deal with the Pegasus Knights. I've got my other Knights right there next to him. I believe they have the Icon of Darkness, which is going to be useless in this game for the most part. They were going to back him up if at all required. I've got my level 2 there to try to inhibit his level 4's casting. Both of my Chaos Spawn are in the woods, and the hope there is that they get into the mounted guys before they can get into me. I've got my Sorcerer in the Chariot. The idea here is to put as much damage into the Pegasus Knights or the mounted Knights so that when I do have to finally charge them and get them into combat, it's more manageable, because that's a lot of attacks. The dogs in the middle there, I didn't know what to do with them or where I wanted to put them, because there is no redirectors or anything with his army, so we'll see. My other units with the Rampaging Banner, I'm hoping to get into the flank of the Men-at-Arms. We'll see how that goes. And then both the Dragon Ogres are going to shoot up the right flank there. The intent is to get into his Archers and maybe his Yeomen, whatever I can get a hold of. Or I'm sorry, not his Yeomen, his Grail Knights, and hopefully deal with them. They've got great weapons. They've got bad attitudes. They've got the ability to do it, right? For my opponent's part, he's got his Pegasus Knights with his Baron, I believe, on our left side there. His Mounted Knights are of the Realm or whatever, with his Baron and his Prophetess are in the huge, huge lance. He's got his massive break of Men-at-Arms with his Sergeant-at-Arms right there. The Peasant Bowmen are in a line, some right behind the woods, some next to it, and then the Grail Knights, for some reason, are behind them. I guess it's so that when I destroy the Bowmen, they can countercharge and kill whatever killed the Bowmen, which I'm sure they appreciate. And that's it for deployment. Here's top of 1 after movement, and as I already kind of told you in deployment, everything goes exactly as I expected it to. Everything moves up. I try to stay out of the charge arc of his Knights of the Realm just so that I don't make it easy for him, because even if he needed triple sixes, he'd get it. It's just the way my luck goes. But everything did move up with the exception of my Knights on the right. Again, they're there to back up the Chaos Lord, who's hiding behind the house right now, hoping that the Pegasus Knights come over and give him a charge. But as you can see on the right flank and in the center there, everything moves up to really threaten his left flank, our right, to put some pressure on him to get him to make some mistakes, hopefully. Literally nothing else happens. He's able to dispel everything I try to cast, so here's bottom of 1 after movement, and there's his Pegasus Knights do come up and give my Chaos Lord a charge, but he's smart. What I wouldn't do for a stupid opponent, but he's smart, and he makes sure that my Knights can't threaten and get in there with his Pegasus Knights. I think he's literally like 0.3 inches too far for me even to declare the charge. He's so good. But anyway, his Knights in the Lance formation back up right to the board's edge a little bit. I'm sorry, they don't back up. They stay right where they're at. It's the Men-at-Arms that move forward. Sorry, that threw me off. His Men-at-Arms move up just a little bit. Not enough for me to get the charge off unless I get really lucky with my Chaos Spawn, but enough to try to just tempt me a little bit. His 1 unit of archers reform or redress the ranks or whatever you want to call it in order to go 5x2 so that his Grail Knights can do the same thing, go into lance formation and just get ready to countercharge whatever potentially fails to charge after his stuff. That's it for his movement. In the shooting phase, these peasant bowmen shoot at my Knights and kill one. They're going to pay for that, I promise you that. And with no combat, that takes us over to top of turn 2. Magic has been a little weak this game, I admit it. So here, let me just get to the main part. Well, no, let me go through everything here first. So as you can see, neither of the Chaos Spawn were able to roll 36 and slam into anything. So I had to go defensive with them and move them up to give his Knights something else to charge, because as you can see, my Chaos Lord is out of position. I'll get to that in a second. My Sorcerer Lord moves up to put some real damage on the Grail Knights because I don't want them to be able to charge with any real authority. The 2 Dragon Ogres move up to really threaten the Archers, and the remaining Knights on the right flank there move up to do the same thing. I back my Knights up on the left flank a little bit to countercharge what's going after the Chaos Lord, because I rolled a 1 on the Eye of the Gods chart, the Gaze of the Gods, whatever you want to call it. So I used my Favor of the Gods, and I rolled another 1. So he is stupid. And then I realized it after the fact. It would have taken effect next turn, but whatever. So I rolled a leadership check, needing a friggin' 9, and I rolled a 10. So I moved him forward 7, 8 inches trying to get away. I moved him 7 because I forgot the stupid demonic mount is 8. And yeah, that sucked. Also, I realized after the fact that the only direction I could have moved him was towards the impassable terrain because you have to go the same direction that you went last turn when you're a skirmisher. So there was a whole bunch of wrong here. Very frustrating because I wanted him to charge into the Pegasus Knights. Now they're going to charge me, have their lances, and this is all really, really bad. Actually, to be honest with you, I probably would have ignored the Pegasus for a minute because I don't want him to countercharge, so I would have probably gone around and encouraged a charge from the mounted Knights of the Realm. That actually probably would have gone better for me. So this sucks all the way around. So we go into the shooting phase, and Lord Tremendous on his chariot fires off every ranged spell he has into the Grail Knights, gets 2 of them off, and kills all but 1 of the Grail Knights, which, that was awesome. They don't care about, panic or anything like that, but taking them from 5 to 1 really gives me the advantage there. So here's bottom of turn 2 after movement, and there's a ton. His Knights of the Realm, of course, take the bait and go after the Chaos Spawn of Khorne. Nothing I can do about that. His Pegasus Knights conga line into my General, and that's what he gets for being stupid. The Knights of the the Men-at-Arms and his Grail Knight charge into the Dogs, which is totally fine. I don't care about that. The counter charge will be glorious. His Bowmen move up so that I can only charge 1 line of them with the Dragon Ogres, which is also fine. I don't care how I kill them, as long as I kill them. And that's pretty much it for movement. However, the astute watchers will notice something, and I'll explain it right now. My opponent tried to cast the Lady's Wrath, which is a very smart thing to do, and due to the proximity of the Infernal Puppet, he showed him a little puppet show, and the Prophetess was distracted enough to miscast 3, which is just phenomenal. You'll love to see it. She opens up a rift into the warp, putting a big old healthy 5-inch template right on her face hole, which results in both the lady and the Baron taking a wound. Believe it or not, the Knights made their saves. But yeah, both characters are now down 1 wound, and not bad at all. Nothing happens in his shooting phase at all, so we go into combat, and yeah, go figure. The Men-at-Arms and the Grail Knight were able to murder all but 1 of the dogs. I don't think I do any wounds back. Maybe 1 of the Men-at-Arms. I don't remember. But I lose, and the 1 remaining dog flees and gets away. He restrained with his Grail Knight, overran with the Men-at-Arms, and slammed into the Chaos Spawn, which is not going to go well for them at all. The Chaos Spawn is dangerous. In this one, my Chaos Spawn does incredibly well. I honestly thought he was going to get obliterated, but I made a bunch of his saves. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't make any of his saves. He just didn't roll real well to wound him, which was fantastic because we end up taking 4 wounds total, and I'm only able to kill 1 of his Knights of the Realm. I thought about going after his character, but the odds of me rolling Killing Blow and him actually being susceptible to it are 0. So we end up just killing out 1 Knights of the Realm got killed. I lose by a truckload, but I'm unbreakable. I give ground 2 inches, and they pursued. We end up right here. This combat does not go well. Not even close. My Chaos Lord just gets obliterated. He's strength 8. He's got rear. He's got all that other stuff. But I didn't have to worry about a leadership check because he just outright killed the Chaos Lord. No problem at all. He overruns about 8 inches and ends up right there. I gotta be honest, after this happened, I was really, really pissed off about the Chaos Lord, and I was like, I kitted him out, he was toughness 6, initiative 7, all this good stuff, he should have done a lot better. No, it's just like the worst possible scenario. The rear charge gave him +1 initiative. It was just all sorts of terrible. And I was frustrated. I was really, really frustrated. But what can you do? I did have second thoughts a couple of days later, like, you know what, maybe the Chaos Lord gets a second chance, because that really was nobody's fault. It was just the dice gods deciding that was the way it was supposed to go, but, it's hard to see the positive side when you just get manhandled like that, So here's top of turn 3 after movement, and my knights charge into the Pegasus Knights. I figure if I was ever going to have a chance to do something with them, this would be it. They do countercharge. He only goes 2 inches, so no furious charge, but they still get their lances, which sucks. My Chaos Sorcerer in a Chariot casts Demonic Vessel off on herself, and then Fleshy Abundance and slams into the Men-at-Arms. The Chaos Knights do the same thing in the flank, which is really, really good. Both Dragon Ogres slam into the Peasant Bowmen to make sure that they never do anything so stupid again. And my level 2 guy just moves around so he can't be, overrun into, hopefully, and can still threaten the Prophetess if she ends up killing my poor Chaos one. I'm really hoping that's not what happens, but, well, you'll see. That's it for movement, though. Nothing happens in shooting because my main caster's in combat and my other one doesn't have a target. So we start with the Men-at-Arms and we obliterate them. However, his Sergeant-at-Arms, as you can see, is still there with 1 wound on him. And the unit champion is suspiciously outside of the unit because he got straight murdered by this guy. He was only, with 3 attacks plus 1 from the horse, he was able to get 1 wound through. It was really, really bad. In return, the Sergeant-at-Arms, the beast that he is, turns around with nothing more than a halberd and cuts this thing down. It hurts my feelings. But in return, we obliterated all but I think 4 or 5 from the front rank there. So they lose combat by a truckload. And without thinking, I knew my knights had to pursue, but I pursued with my chariot and the spawn. I should not have done that. That was really stupid. They bounce through. They take dangerous terrain, but they all survive. And it's really unfortunate. I really screwed this up here bad. The knights didn't have a choice. They were frenzied, but I should have left my sorcerer facing up. I should have I should have tried to restrain with the spawn in order to better countercharge the knights. I made a lot of mistakes here, and I blame myself. In this combat over here, I believe his Baron gets Mighty Killing Blow off on my spawn, which murders him outright. To which he, instead of overrunning, reforms like this, which is going to give him a beautiful charge into my knights, and that's going to finish them off. In this combat with the knights and the Pegasus, his general kind of flubs, I gotta be honest, but the rest of it, I do a ton of wounds. I really do. My unit champion kills his unit champion. It was wonderful. My unit does a ton of wounds to him, and he makes a bunch of his saves. It was gut-wrenching, but still, I think it was 5-5 total, which was really, really good. He wins by 1, though, because he still has a musician, and mine died. I just couldn't make enough saves. I mean, it is what it is. They were outclassed, but it seemed like a good idea at the time, and I don't regret it. I enjoy close combat. We, believe it or not, do make our break check, so we give ground, and he decides to restrain. Nothing I can do to stop him. In the Dragon Ogre combat against the Bowmen, I don't do terrible, I don't do great. I think in the end, after all is said and done, I kill 7 of the Bowmen. And you know what? I think we screwed up here, now that I'm looking at it. My units are 6, so we outnumbered him. I think he fell back in good order, but he should have broken fled. So I think we just did a fall back in good order here. I'm looking at it now. I think we screwed up. One of my guys pursues, the other one restrains and turns to face either the Grail Knight or the other unit of archers, whatever target opportunity I decide to take next. But yeah, I think now that I'm looking at it, I don't remember exactly what happened, but I think maybe we screwed that up a little bit. Not the end of the world. We were only playing for $5 grand. With combat finish, here's bottom of turn 3 after movement, and his Men-at-Arms did not rally, so they kept fleeing. The Pegasus Knights charged into the spawn, which I'm not thrilled about, but there's nothing I can do about it. It was a piss-poor reform on my part. His Knights of the Realm charge into my Knights. It's a disordered charge, but it's not really going to matter. And, of course, his Grail Knight charged into the flank there. Again, really, really stupid on my part, but what can you do? And everything else that he has is dead or in combat or fleeing. So that's it for movement. There is nothing that happens in the shooting phase, so we go into combat, and yeah, he obliterates my poor spawn. I think his Baron hit and wound with every single attack, and I think he had 8 attacks. So even before the Ogre Blade, he was doing like 50 wounds to him, and he's only got 6. So yeah, he dies horribly. The Timber does not work out for me at all. Of course, it just, flops over to the side, and he easily overruns into my Sorcerer. So yeah, things are going downhill quick. In combat over here, he's able to just obliterate my Chaos Knights. I think I did some wounds back, but, I mean, he easily made the saves, as you can see. Nothing's hurt whatsoever. And, yeah, I kind of threw him away. Some good news, though. The Dragon Ogre is able to finish off those last 3 peasants, which I think even the Bretonnians appreciate. Although they were able to slip a wound through on them before they died. So it's a little insult to injury, right? And I was able to restrain and I turned to face the bowman because, you know what? I'm going to kill as much as I possibly can. So we go over here to top of turn 4, and I make a lot of mistakes again. I don't know where my head was, probably firmly up my ass. I'm not really sure, but I was playing like Dookie, and at least I recorded it. My Chaos Knights on my left flank there charged the men-at-arms, and then for some incredibly stupid reason, I decided to redirect like I was possibly going to make that rear charge. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. I should have just ran down the damn men-at-arms and secured the points, but I didn't. So that's where my idiot knights end up. Like 2 Chaos Knights who are no longer frenzied are really going to make a difference. Really, really stupid on my part. I do get Fleshy Abundance off on my Sorcerer Lord, which is really, really good. My Dragon Ogre on the top there makes it into the flank of the Bowman. My other Dragon Ogre tried to charge his, I believe, Knights of the Realm and failed miserably, which was awesome. They came up like 2 inches and I still couldn't make the charge. It was mainly because of the woods. You have to take the lowest, you lose a point of movement. You know how it goes. He'll make it. Don't even worry about it. Other than that, not a whole lot to show in movement. Ignore the Chaos Knight right there. He's dead. He should have been deleted off table. Oh, and the dog. He'll run off the table next turn. Nothing happens in the magic phase, so we go into combat, and I end up in a challenge with his Baron, and Lord Tremendous takes 3 wounds. I mean, he needed 3's wound, even with Fleshy Abundance. It is what it is. I'm obviously not able to do anything back to him. I fail my leadership check. I do fall back. I would have fallen back in good order, but he outnumbers me, so I fled, or whatever. And I take a dangerous terrain check, and I fail it, but I only take 1 extra wound because of the Grail Knight. I bounce through my level 2 caster, who survives, and it doesn't really matter because he's going to charge them, kill him, bounce through the him to the chariot, and kill him. So it's just delaying the inevitable. God, I played like shit this game. Combat over here goes pretty well. The Dragon Ogre is able to kill 4 of the bowmen and not take any wounds or trouble. So flank and 4 to nothing. I believe I win by 5. And they get away. He falls back in good order. I pursued and I didn't roll high enough to actually slam into him, so I'm an inch away because that's just the way it goes. When it rains, it pours. And that takes us to bottom of 4. And like I said, his Pegasus Knights charge into the flank of my level 2. Due to disruption of his Grail Knight, one of the Pegasus Knights does die because that's the stupidest rule in the game. The fact that a skirmisher that can't line up is removed as a casualty, that is patently absurd. Absolutely the stupidest thing I've ever seen. He just kills, well, I can't line up with the rest of you guys, so he slits his own throat. That is the patently stupidest rule in the old world. I love the game. I love that it's back. Don't get me wrong. But absolutely the stupidest rule that GW has ever created. And they've come up with some doozies. So that's it. I'll get off my soapbox. The Knights of the Realm charge into the Dragon Ogre and make it no problem. And I believe his men-at-arms continue to flee. His Grail Knight turns to face my Knights. And that's it for movement. Nothing else happens in shooting or anything like that, so we go into combat, and yeah, his Baron is able to obliterate my guy. It is what it is. He overruns and, of course, smashes into my Sorcerer Lord and kills him instantly, which, it's a small mercy. At least he went quick. And my Dragon Ogre. He does issue a challenge, but he gets killing blow, and there's nothing I can do about it. So that takes us over here to top of turn 5 after movement, and yeah, it's great. The Knights of the Realm, after they killed the Dragon Ogres, they overran and then reformed to face the way they are. Really, there's nothing going on. My Dragon Ogre slams into the Bowman for what it's worth, and my Knights realize that they're just going to try to save points. So they turn, they move 4 inches away from everything, and that's really it for movement. All the wizards are dead, so we go into combat, and the Dragon Ogre does good against Bowman. Go figure, taking him down to 4. I win combat, but my opponent makes his break check. Not fall back in good order, literally just give ground. He goes back 2 inches, I pursue, and I'm fucked. We go to the bottom of 5, and you know exactly what happens. His Knights of the Realm charge into the rear of the Dragon Ogre because it was a rear charge, and his Pegasus Knights and his Grail Knight go after my Knights that are trying to just save their points. I don't want to be tabled. That's the only thing I'm going for at this point. The one bonus is the Men-at-Arms do run off the table, so that's kind of nice. Mercifully, we go straight into combat, and he only does 3 wounds in the challenge, and I'm able to slip a wound through on his Baron. Of course, we're in a challenge. He wins by a truckload, so I don't roll like him for break checks. I roll like a normal person. I fail. I flee through the enemy unit, take my dangerous terrain, take the wound, die. He, of course, pursued not knowing I was going to die, and the archers and the knights sit there while the knights demand the archers thank them for saving their worthless lives. Is what it is. And just because that was really it, it's top of 6, bottom of 6. This is what the map looks like at the end of the game. I run around the side of the impassable terrain so that they can't charge me. He really can't do anything about it. His casters aren't in range to shoot at me or anything like that. His bowman won't get any shots. It doesn't really matter. Maybe his bowman gets shots at the end of 6. Doesn't matter. They don't kill any knights. And that's what it looks like at the end of the game. Oh my God, I got my face punched in on this one. I really did make a ton of mistakes. My opponent played beautifully. The stupidity on the Chaos Lord just gutted me. But I really played very badly here, and my opponent played very competently, very well. And this is exactly how it should have came out. I did do some serious damage to his army, so it's not like they're going to be able to have a huge celebration, but I feel pretty good about it. And it was a lot of fun. As much as I sound dejected, I got my ass kicked, and nobody really ever enjoys that. So let's get into the recap. So this one was a good game. It looks like I did a lot more than I really did, but it was a lot of fun. I just enjoyed the game. I played very poorly. I admit that. I'm still kind of getting my bearings with Warriors of Chaos. It's a big leap between the two armies, and that's not an excuse. My opponent played very well. It's not like he plays Bretonnians any more often than I play Warriors of Chaos, but I played very poorly. My opponent played very well, so this was the outcome that was supposed to happen. And he's got a solid list here, too, so making the mistakes I made I mean, there was only one way it could really go, but still, I feel like I killed a lot of his guys, so I'm pretty happy about that. My leadership checks suck. Oh man, my Chaos Lord getting stupid and then immediately failing his stupidity check. There was nothing for it. I mean, I tried to get away, but all he could move is 8 inches, so oh well. At first, I was actually done with the Chaos Lord. I don't have a lot of luck with close combat characters, I really don't, but I don't think this was my Chaos Lord's fault, considering what he ran into and all the benefits that the Bretonnians had. The fact that he outright killed him, I mean, it's the Ogre Blade. That's just what it's going to do, but I think I'm going to give him a second chance. I really like the concept. I really want a Chaos Lord in the army. I like my characters as they're kitted out. Maybe some tweaks here and there, especially with the Chaos Lord, but I'm going to give him a second chance eventually. There's some other things I want to try. I need more practice, obviously, and to better tune my list and play style. That's going to come over time, but you know, it's a labor of love. I get to have a great time getting my ass kicked for a while until I become better at the game. And we can't understate just how insane his Sergeant at Arms was. Going up against the Chaos Knight on the charge, taking a wound, and then murdering him. And then fleeing across the table with his prize trophy of the Chaos Helmet to put up on his mantle at home. Oh my God, Sergeant at Arms don't get enough credit. That guy, he consistently does this too. Whenever he has a Sergeant at Arms, I know all my unit champions are shitting themselves a little bit. And I didn't get tabled. I did take the coward's way, but I didn't get tabled. And you know what? I'll take that. It was a really fun game, though. I had a ton of fun, and I'm looking forward to playing against them very soon because I enjoy playing against, well, this guy and the Bretonnians. It's just a lot of fun. So, although I did lose, I still had some skulls to offer to the Dark Gods, starting with the Sergeant at Arms. I know he ran off the table. Narratively, it doesn't make any sense. He probably got away. But remember, he was wounded, and, you know, the medical field isn't that great in Bretonnia. So I'm going to say that I got him and add a Sergeant at Arms skull to the Skull Throne. In core, I definitely got his 30 men at arms. I don't care what you say. I got them. And I don't really understand what a Grail Monk is. It's not a character. It seems to be an upgrade, but it is another model, so I'm going to count it. I got a Grail Monk. I don't care. I'm going to count it. I definitely killed him. We got 16 Peasant Bowmen because we don't aim to wound, we aim to kill. In Special, we only got 1 Mounted Knight of the Realm, and I honestly think that was the miscast, but I'll take it. I don't care. I'm not proud. We also got 3 Pegasus Knights, and I am proud. That I was pretty happy about. Damn Pegasus Knights. And then in Rare, we were able to pop 4 Grail Knights, leaving 1 very, very vengeful. Quick reminder of the Wood Elves and Tomb Kings that I've left at the Gods table, and King Bubba Hotep. My current killings of Chaos Dwarves and Orcs and Goblins, as well as the demons I've sent back to the Dark Realm and the Warriors of Chaos that just didn't make the cut. And there you have it. Another battle report is in the history books. As always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. And as always, thanks!